Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Chris Hillman, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Dick Earth Skeptic, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, NA Literalist, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic 936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out, thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Like I used to have we used to go into like a really bad neighborhood in Brooklyn and bring out food and preach and try to bring some people out of drug addictions and get them plugged into a Times Square church, teen challenge drug program. And one time I went to Texas to speak in a church right after 9/11. And my wife continued to do the ministry while I was there. So I was just on the phone with her talking to her about a few things going on. And the pastor said, "You have the gift of administration." So I was like, "Really? What's that?" Because I don't know any of these terminologies. And he explained it to me. So I said, "Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, I could." Same thing with flooring. I'm always wind up being a foreman on the job because I know how to run a job. I guess that's the gift, right?
Yeah. But also remember, if you use the gift you have, you get more gifts. Do you follow what I'm saying?
That's what they say.
So, because remember, by what measure you meet gets measured back to you. So if you keep pursuing, because remember, how do I say it? There was another scripture, I forget. What was it? By what measure you meet gets measured back to you, and there was something else in relation to that.
Yeah, pressed down. Talks about it being pressed down to overflowing. Something.
Let's see if I can find it. Sometimes, let me see.
Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning.
Morning, 10th man. Here, let me come on
Hey,
Google
Righteous.
Hangouts. Oh, I'm not signed in. All right. Though it might be, it's weird how there's no noise suppression in Google Hangouts or volume adjust and sensitivity adjust. So Discord has a one up over Google Hangouts with that.
I think they've updated it with a newer, better version, but I had a try with it and I didn't like it for various reasons, which I won't bore you with. But I forgot what it's called. Meet, I think it's called.
Yeah, and Betty said there may be some security issues with it still or something along those lines.
With Meet?
I'm not sure. One of the new things that supposed to supersede Google Hangouts or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
Meet. I think it's called that. If I've got the name wrong, tough. But yeah, in many ways it's superior. It just doesn't have things that I like. So, it's one of those.
I gotcha.
This is more simplistic. It doesn't have a lot of the features. They've stripped them out from Google Hangouts on Air because of its blatant security flaws in terms of being able to just get straight in with the link if it's broadcast. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. But it's just a shame. The only thing I miss in Google Hangouts is the ability to control other guests' volume. That's the only thing I miss.
Oh.
Surprisingly few technical issues to worry about today, fortunately.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was some issue yesterday, I heard.
Yeah, well, I started early. That's why there's going to be loads of dead air in this pre-show, because I started early. But I thought, typically when you start on time and you've got a vague inkling there'll be an issue, there will be, and then you'll run out of time and be under pressure when the live show's about to start. I like to go out on time. I know some people don't care. I do. But
Right.
anyway, there was no issue, so everything just worked straight away.
But what happened yesterday after? I heard you had to drop the show early because of
Lost all
issues.
sound. Everyone moved to the after show. No settings at my end were changed, other than people being moved from live stream to after show. And all sound was lost. I couldn't be heard, and they couldn't talk. So they were still all hearing each other in the hangout and having a happy conversation. I just couldn't hear them, and they couldn't hear me. And nothing I did change that.
Was
We
it
can hear
just
anything
as simple
on
as
Discord.
restarting your computer, or
You can't do that when you're recording, though, can you?
no? I mean afterwards. Was that the
Oh
issue?
yeah, I'm
Once
sure
you
that
just-
was. Yeah, I mean, but just as a precautionary measure, I do that before every show now. Every show, I will restart the PC. It's just a matter of course. So yes, probably. But you can, like I say, once you're recording, you've got to try and solve the problem while the recording's running, or it's a case of ending the recording, which in the end is what I had to do. So yesterday's after show is only an hour and a half.
You remember last week when I kept talking and you guys can hear me, but I can hear you, and I had to restart my computer, my iPad. So it happens on both sides of the show.
Yeah, the sound settings get twitchy if you change them a lot, and I do. So this computer's used for many different functions. It's in the lounge. So, prior to this, it was playing Muppet Babies, you know what I mean, on Disney Channel. So that's what the computer's used for, to do all of those normal things that people do in their lounges. So it's a home media PC. But obviously it's a very powerful PC because I also use it to do this. But by changing settings in sound, that often causes errors. And then you just have to restart, and there's not a great deal you can do about it.
Neil, were you going to say something?
I think it's because Righteous wasn't there. See what happens, Righteous, when you're not around?
I don't think
No,
so.
I was there. Who do you guys think does all the moving?
Oh, okay. I thought you weren't there yesterday.
But I noticed something different yesterday. I noticed the room size was 20 before I moved everybody in. So, it filled up to capacity right away. So I'm wondering if that even had anything to do with it. Doubt it, but it was just something different I noticed.
Could
Not
be.
sure who
Maybe.
changed it.
We'll see. If we lose all sound for the after show again, it'll be just a case of maybe create a different new room. I don't know. I wouldn't imagine it would glitch in a particular room. It makes no sense. But there we go. That's just that's the
I should have
twitchy
stuck.
nature. Go on.
I'll try to stick around and make sure everything's smooth. If not, then we can try moving them into another room or something. So
I don't think you could have helped, honestly, if I'd have piped up and said, if you could have heard me in Discord and I said, what's going on, you wouldn't have been able to do anything about it, I don't think. I mean, it's useful that you're hanging around. It's nice that you move everyone and you basically run Discord for me. So I don't do anything. I literally do nothing in Discord. I connect to it, and other than occasionally, if I remember, take people off mute, I don't do anything. Literally, I don't do anything. So I'm very grateful for the people who actually manage and run Discord. You know, Betty's team of people are fab. You know, I've got no complaints whatsoever because I literally have to do nothing. I just click in, it works. Everyone in there is happy. They all join. You know, what do I have to do? Literally nothing.
There was a point when I was hearing you very faintly, but that was it.
Is this yesterday?
Yes.
Neil?
There was one point where
what I did was I was
faintly.
Yeah, the reason for that is because there's a particular button in the settings for sound where you can check. So you press the button, it does a little check and opens up all the lines. You get a load of feedback, but at least you know it's working. Well, it worked when I was doing that, other than the horrendous feedback. So for a few moments you could probably hear me, and I could hear what was going on. It came through, but then as soon as I stopped the check, it all stopped working again. So it was like, you know, like I say, you go through all these different things to try and figure out what might or might not resolve the problem, and sometimes you just hit gold and immediately you get it right. But not that day, not yesterday.
The ballers, they're doing something.
Well, speaking of ballers, is Discord up and running now? And is there any there?
Yeah, that's who we're talking to.
No, I know I'm being polite and throwing out the welcome mat and saying, come on the show now.
I had a guy contact me by email. Oh, go on, whoever that was.
I was just saying that they're afraid. They wait until everybody leaves to just spout their rhetoric to each other.
Oh, so nothing's changed. The suckerfish ride the belly of the shark.
I'm watching a shark tear apart a boat right now in Jaws. But listen, all the people that are here were here that you smashed, Nathan, are now on Spurs Chemo's Under Pressure talking their nonsense. I can only watch and chat but a few minutes. I can't take it and I leave. But they're all over there.
Yeah, sometimes it's lonely on the bleeding edge.
Speaking of Spurs Chemo, he left a comment about my star trails. It's something to the effect of that's globe proof. I'll have to have a chat when it comes on.
You what? They're just star trails. Everyone can go get star trails. How is that globe proof?
I'm going to go read it. I'm going to go read it exactly what he said, so that way I don't misquote him. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's hear this nonsense from Spurs. Spurs is kind of hot and cold. Sometimes he's absolutely glorious. I watch him and I literally cheer. I'm like, yeah, go Spurs! And then sometimes, like with his namesake for his channel, you're just like, what are you babbling on about?
All right, let me go find it.
I stopped watching your show for like 2 weeks because of him.
Oh, okay. So it's a Star Trail compilation that I put up, and Spurs Chemo Under No Pressure 5 days ago. More globe proof.
Very concise. Thank you for that, Spurs.
More globe proof. Now, this is a guy who's got a show that's ripping them that they don't have an R, so there's no globe. And then I take star trails on this no globe, and he leaves a comment saying, no more globe proof. How's that even possible?
Maybe he hasn't made that connection yet, so there's a few people that have come on and expressed it to me like it's a revelation. Not that I'm moaning or having a go. You know, based on the Black Swan argument, the rest of the model also implodes upon itself. You know, things like the stars, the distances, all that stuff, orbits, you name it, it all falls in on itself when you debunk R. It all falls by the wayside. And some people who, Spurs is one of them, I don't know if this is the case, but I'll check when we next speak, maybe hasn't put those pieces together yet, doesn't appreciate that, you can't make a claim of a globe proof unless you've got R. Every argument for the globe starts with the presupposition of that R value. So without it, you're doomed to never be able to make another example and beg the question with a formal logical fallacy. You've got to assume something, and the assumption is R. So you've got to make a formal logical fallacy. You've got to start with the assumptive statement. So if the Earth is a sphere, we will observe star trails in whatever fashion you then describe. We observe these star trails in that fashion I've described, therefore Earth's a sphere. Well, you start that statement with the begging the question fallacy that is the R value. If the Earth's a sphere, well, that's R. The R value, Earth radius.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we quote our hostile witness, Andrew Thomas Young, when he's talking about refraction. And he's talking about calculating the refraction. And he says it was all done on the plane, but we have to convert it and take geometric considerations. So even Andrew Thomas Young says that all his refraction studies were on the plane, and then he has to convert it to a globe. So I don't understand how Spurs is doing the opposite of Andrew Thomas Young.
But that's okay, that's good. I mean, if it is the case... go on, whoever that was.
I said, because it's easier on a plane, according to him.
Well, you can't.
No, it's the only way it can be done.
I was going to say you can't do it any other way.
That's the point. The only way he got his refraction calculation was because there is no R. But then he's got to have R, so he has another formula.
Yeah, the word taking geometric considerations is another way of saying, well, we've got to beg the question. We've got to assume we're on a sphere.
We know the Earth isn't flat.
Yeah.
We know it's not flat, so we must assume it's spherical. That's what he's saying with that statement.
Precisely.
The alternative is...
He broke up. The alternative is what?
The alternative to that is too frightening for them.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. Liberating for some. Me. Wow! So, we've got a world of wonder ahead of us. That's amazing. It's like being a little child again. How fantastic. To other people, what? You mean it's not what I already know and am completely comfortable with and do not want to change? That's terrifying.
See, that's the pride. That's the pride.
We all suffer from pride.
Right.
Thank God I don't suffer from globe pride.
I love that. Trademark that, baby. Make a shirt out of it.
Actually,
there's so many arguments.
For my birthday.
There's so many arguments they've had that, now there's different, like their claims about hurricanes. There's so much discovery still yet to be.
For us. Or for them. I mean, obviously it's true on both sides, but you're just going to fight against it if you think you already know, I suppose. That's the point.
Yesterday, was it yesterday's show or last week when that subject of hurricanes came up and you were talking as succinctly as can be that they are attributing that to Coriolis, and Coriolis is an apparent deflection and hurricanes are real wind patterns?
Yeah, it was yesterday. It was Sean Hawkins in the chat. He's there now, actually.
Yeah, I don't understand that their own definition of Coriolis, why they don't apply it to hurricanes.
Yeah, it is confusing. So, to be fair, I didn't give Sean Hawkins too hard a time because he put a question mark at the end. Sometimes even the people that are detestable can surprise you. So, although he phrased it in such a manner that was to say, I'm making this almost as a positive assertion, he did put a question mark at the end. I'm like, fair play. If you don't know, and you're phrasing it as a question, aren't hurricanes caused by Coriolis, question mark, was his question. It's like,
I think he's just playing with you. Last week in chat, he was saying, hey, 10th man, come over here on Jose Gonzalez's show and we'll have a real talk. And I said, you know where to find me Monday to Friday. I'll see you there. And then back and forth of this nonsense. And he's just playing the bait trip.
Well, that might be the case, but it doesn't change his question and his question mark at the end of his question, because it was a question. That's my point. He's asking a question. Is Coriolis the cause of hurricanes? Is essentially what he's phrasing it. Now, he might have tagged on something at the end that says, haha, you're an idiot. It doesn't matter. He's asking a question. In other words, he's expressing his doubt and phrasing it in a question format, which means to me he's at least inquiring whether or not hurricanes are caused by Coriolis. So I took my time and I explained it to him without berating him in any way, shape or form and saying, no, they're not. Coriolis is observed with you spinning and the thing you're observing not spinning. Well, if you're observing something spinning, that isn't you spinning underneath it, observing it seem to drift. Seem to drift, not actual drift, i.e. hurricanes have actual spin directions, they're actually turning. It's not you observing them not actually turning from a spinning roundabout, for example. Well, that concise sort of explanation is deserved. It doesn't matter who's asking the question, it doesn't matter that it's some troll.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. You never are hard on people who come and ask a question sincerely. You only get hard on them, at least from my experience, is when they start ad homing you. So with that said, Sean Hawkins, if you're really curious, come on the show, ask your question, or this is going to be just one of those little things that he throws something out, but he's not sincere about it.
They want to tell me off. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, but see, he's trying to get me to leave your show to go on, which I don't go on Jose's show. I went there one time and I said, what a mess. And I haven't been there since. And that was last year. So early last year. So he's trying to get me to go there. So he's up to something. Well, I'm saying, come here. I'm here Monday to Friday. Then I got to go work on my farm. So I'm happy to talk to anybody just like you are.
Right on. I had a guy contact me by email, and first he ad hommed me in the email. Then he goes on to demand his terms. So he says he wants to come on, but says if he comes on, he wants these terms. Explains that he's an engineer. So I write back to him and say, number one, I owe you nothing. Absolutely nothing. So why would I give you terms? Number two, if you want something from somebody, i.e. terms, then don't ad hom them, talk smack with them when you're asking for something. And anybody can join, right? The link's published daily. You don't need to email me for permission to join this show. Anybody can. Just join. Now, if you need terms, I think I care. In the same way, in the same vein that I've said, it wouldn't matter if someone's calling from death row, they managed to get hold of an internet connection because they broke out of their cell, and then they put a cracking argument forward for the Globe. It's going to be heard. It's not going to be assessed on whether or not they're an engineer. It doesn't matter. But likewise, if you've got somebody who's absolutely qualified in the arena that we're talking, an astrophysicist, then their words don't hold very much weight. They might be used as hostile witnesses because the people we oppose hold a lot of weight or put a lot of weight on what people say. Here we have a completely different standard. So people come to me and think that suddenly because they've got some profession that might be loosely related to this topic and they want to tell me off, that they should demand terms from me and I should give them. Nah, you've got to be joking, Mr. I don't know who you are, never met you, don't owe you a thing, which is basically everybody who contacts me demanding terms. Sod off.
It's a debate show. Come and debate with your strongest points against our strongest points. Those are the only terms.
Well, they claim
you don't even have to do that. I don't even lay those down as terms, right? To join, you just join, or you don't join. That's your choice. Not, I'll join if I get X, Y, and Z, and you behave in this... No. You think I've built up a show so I can be dictated to about what terms my guests need? Now, if I'm approaching somebody, if I'm approaching Math Powerland, as I've done, to get an interview... I've recently approached someone on a completely unrelated subject, by the way, for an interview. That's why it's on my mind. Nothing to do with Flat Earth. But I've said, I really like your subject matter, and you've not got very many subs. I'd love to interview you. And I've given him reasons, incentivised my request to him for him to give up some of his time to be interviewed. In other words, what's in it for me? is what you've got to ask yourself when you approach somebody and ask them for something. So in this case, I'd like to talk to this dude. And I've said to him, I can offer you this particular perspective on what you do. In other words, some value I can offer him. Not, I think you're a dick and you've got what you've said wrong. Now, I want to come on your channel and tell you how wrong you are. However, if I do, I want you to behave in this way. Oh, yeah? Is that so?
Too much, man. Too much.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Righteous Force, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
How's the
evening.
weather there?
Wonderful.
Weather's spectacular here. Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, here too.
It's nice. As soon as summer rolls round, or what I call summer, spring, not winter anymore, I'd start to lose weight. I go out and do things. I get fat over winter because you're just sat and doing nothing, eating stuff. Whereas there's so little hours in the day to get everything done when it's summer because there's so much to do. It's brilliant. So no complaints here.
Yep.
Everyone okay on Discord? Just started a live show. You enthusiastic lot?
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Chocolate.
Hey,
Good to see you there.
Hey, Chocolate, welcome back.
What's going on, guys?
It's all good. It's all good. We're going to do a bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, we've been
That's-
really confused here, though, without you. Without Chocopedia.
Without-
Chocopedia? That's brilliant.
Nah, I think you guys will be all right.
Yeah, we come to get a quote for somebody, and it's like, where's Chocolate? None of us know how to quote people.
That's cool.
Right, let's do some housekeeping. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from Phelan, California.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nah, apparently they don't need it. I was on 24/7 earlier, and I walked into a conversation, and somebody was talking about, why are you asking about geometric horizon? Why are you saying it has to be geometric? I was just like, wait a minute. Does your model have a geometric horizon in it?
It used to.
You guys forget about that.
No,
Or
I think the
it's
model
it's
still
not
has
relevant
it, though.
anymore or something. I don't get it.
I think the model
Yeah,
still
I-
has a geometric horizon, though.
Not
just
the
don't
actual
see it in
Earth.
pictures. You just don't see it
Oh.
in pictures, see?
Not the model, Arwin. He's not talking about the model.
Hmm?
He's not talking about the model. He's talking about in reality.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess that's where the slip up was. Yeah.
We all know there's a geometric horizon in there begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. It's marked with an X, labelled horizon, based on the R value. It's the thing we debunked with the Black Swan. It's definitely in existence in their model. We all know that much, Arwin. However, that horizon, we only have one, doesn't exist in reality.
Right. Unless you
let me see if
confuse
I
everything
let me see.
really bad
Let me
and
see
say
if I can
there's no horizon on a flat Earth.
Yeah,
Seems
we
to be the
definitely still
latest-
have a vanishing point. That would be our horizon. Reality, that is. No need to model
So
it. It's just... Go on. Sorry, 10th.
That's all right. So according to Chocopedia, the Globers have a physical model that they hold in their hands. And we've seen them on many occasions show us that globe. And they're holding it. And then in their writings, they have an X that delineates where the geometric horizon would be. And then this guy comes on and says, why are you talking about that?
You just have to reply, welcome to Flat Earth. You're right. Why would we be talking about this physical geometric sphere edge horizon when we don't have one in reality? You're right. It's pointless, silly.
I mean, the nonsense. I mean, if they're putting an X and giving a name to it, and it's in all of their illustrations, and then to come on a show and say, why are you talking about the X that's in all of our illustrations that demarks a geometric horizon? Run towards depression and hurry up and get well.
Any more on the Black Swan? Might as well ask about Earth radius. Any evidence of Earth radius, the R value?
Only in the model.
By axial rotation of the Earth-based variety.
Only in the model.
No, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question.
Go on, Neil.
When was that instituted, the axial rotation?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, we know the backstory of R. You know, you've got Aristarchus. No, is that right? Yeah, Aristarchus watching his shadows and presupposing Earth's a sphere as a result. Then you've got Al-Biruni deriving the R by measuring his dip angle, and then you've got that being backed up by Aristophanes. So we know the backstory for how we've come to have an R value and what their claim has measured it and who's derived it, etc., etc. But in terms of axial rotation, I have no idea. I mean, would it be Foucault? Does it predate Foucault? Maybe. Who made the assumption? Foucault's claiming to measure it, right? But like with Aristophanes, he doesn't actually give you the original presupposition of R. That's Aristarchus. Whereas in the case of Foucault, who's actually postulated in the first instance that we've got a spin? I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, wouldn't it be because they went from a geocentric to heliocentric, and so for it to be night and day, we have to be spinning?
So whoever replaced Ptolemy, is it Ptolemy that had the geocentric original version? Whoever replaced that? Who was that? Anybody? Anybody in chat? Anybody in the live stream? Maybe tell us, because we don't know. We should. God, aren't we terrible?
Can you hear me?
Go on, Arwin.
Was it Copernicus?
Copernicus, that sounds about right. That makes sense, doesn't it? It's the Copernican model.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Arwin. We're dumb, or I am. Let's move on from this embarrassing little section of the show. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Only on their model.
No, that's not true. Not on their model.
I was going to correct him as well, Arwin. You go ahead.
Yeah, that's the whole point. No, they assert that it's supposedly science, but that's because they don't look carefully as to what it actually is, which is an effect, as in a side effect of something else, just to do with density. And yeah, they allow that mistaken fantasy about it to wander off into, tying in with the supposed entire fabric of the universe. This imaginary thing that's not really a thing, but a side effect, is imagined to basically hold together the entire conceptualized universe, pretty much.
Well, that's why I said only in their model, because it's all imaginary and they don't ever make a truth statement based on reality. They have to stick to their model because any truth statement based on reality would upset their model.
Which isn't science, which is Arwen's point. But yes, you're both right. Just a quick shout out to Cleary. Thanks for the super chat. He says, what's the distance to the geometric horizon that the sun sets behind? Well, Cleary, the geometric horizon that the sun sets behind is the same geometric horizon that is supposed to be represented in their model marked with an X labelled horizon. It is the same horizon that the sun sets behind. Their geometric horizon is what is claimed the sun sets behind, because that's the leading edge of their sphere that they believe they live on. However, when someone asks you about why the sun doesn't change its apparent size throughout the day, for example, bear in mind that their sun, in its not actual position, doesn't set behind any horizon, because you have a not actual setting sun. So in their model, when the sun goes down, according to their nonsense, it's still affected by celestial refraction. Therefore, what you see of the sun, according to the heliocentric model, is a sun that's not actually there. It's already gone below the horizon, even though you're seeing it set. That's what they claim. Now, the reason I'm prefacing all of this is because what they're actually asking you when they ask you about what the not actual size of the sun does, i.e. the apparent size change throughout the day, their actual question is, why does the not actual size, that's apparent size, of the sun not change in not actual size as it moves in its not actual position? Because its position is also apparent. Like I say, according to them, you're seeing a sunset that it's not really there. It's behind the horizon already. So why does the not actual size of the sun change, or not change, throughout the day as it moves from its not actual position? Is in reality what they're asking you when they ask you about apparent sun size change as a somehow claim to be globe proof or flat earth debunking. It's a nonsensical question based on their own paradigm of a not actual position, not actual location, and a not actual size for the light in the sky we call the sun. But thank you for the super chat, Cleary. Moving on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics? Don't all go at once.
Nope, not from
Not
Dr.
lately.
Becky, and not from any of them.
What about the distance to the sun? Any evidence of that?
No,
Definitely
no
not.
distance.
No, still requires their heliocentric assumptions of astronomical distance, Kepler's third law. That's a shame. Moving
Well,
on.
if it's a not actual position in their verbiage, how are they going to get a distance to a refracted thing anyway?
I mean, they'll claim they can have various points that they observe this phenomena in the sky, where they claim that, oh no, there's no refraction when it's directly above you. Of course, that's the least. That's what they'll say. They just make it up as they go along. Anyway, where are we? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope. None of that.
Last but by no means least, any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon to give you the gas pressure. And that question's mainly directed to all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe outer space is a sky vacuum.
Great.
Some
Gradient.
people think that if you take a container and you put something in it, that all, of course, being in a container because we have gas pressure, that combined is evidence that we don't have gas pressure within a container. So
No, you still need a container.
it is all contained in the first place because we have gas pressure, and then they take a container within that containment to supposedly demonstrate that you can have gas pressure without a container. It's kind of double ironic, really.
Double ironic. Well, aren't they stating now that the weight is the container?
Yes.
Wait, what do you mean weight? Gas going up, produced at ground level, dissipating as it gets higher because there's less of it?
Yeah, so if
It's
that
going
is
up.
weight,
Keep
right?
staying at the
No,
area.
it's going up. Weight's a downward vector.
So then it's anti-weight.
Anti-weight.
what
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anti-weight.
yeah. If you take a real mechanical scale, not an electronic, you take a helium balloon with a little cord and you tie that to the scale, yeah, it may actually have anti-weight, according to that, because the scale is going to go the other way.
Yeah,
This
or
is
you could
being
just say it's
pulled up.
going up.
So on their own science books, it defines how we arrive at gas pressure hitting the walls of a container. And then when it comes to actually talking about the subject, they want to get rid of the container.
Yeah, especially like the NASA one.
Yeah, they don't like.
Say again, Neil?
They don't like.
No, they don't like natural law. It obviously flies in the face of their religious beliefs in things like sky vacuums. So yeah, they're not going to like these natural laws, gas law and second law of thermodynamics. They don't bode well for their religious belief in a sky vacuum. These inviolable natural laws. Applicable always. Even when NASA quote how you can have gas pressure, they describe containment. Because they know at a fundamental level that it's a law of nature. However, they've still got a sky vacuum that they're claiming to travel out to without any barrier between the gas pressure we're breathing and the sky vacuum they claim to float around in. Yeah, that's all lies. They don't. There is no outer space.
Why?
Outer space is fake. We don't have a sky vacuum. There is no outer space. They're not travelling anywhere. This whole idea of a space agency being required to stop other people setting up offensive space agencies. There is no space. That's just a giant black hole of money that they're pouring cash into for no reason other than lies. Complete propaganda. There is no outer space. They're not sending anything to it because it's not real. If it was real, we wouldn't be breathing. The gas we breathe would fill that space.
But the air gets thinner as you go higher. That's what they say.
That's true, Neil. That's very true. Produced at ground level, the highest concentrations being at ground level. Less concentration where it's not being produced. It's dispersed.
Yep, makes sense to me.
There's
Also
cooler temperatures up there too can affect gas pressure as well.
Didn't hear a word of that.
cooler temperatures up there can affect gases.
There's a lot of things that can affect gas, but you still need the necessary antecedent of a container for the gas to press upon. If there is no container, then the gas will just keep travelling in the direction and velocity that it's travelling in, pending any temperature change, Paul.
Yeah, I think if they're going to say the weight itself keeps it, then they should design their spacecrafts to not have any containment and just trust the gas will huddle around the astronaut.
We're protected.
Where's
Such-
the
I mean,
downward
that's
vector
such a
towards the
beautiful-
moon?
Go on, Paul.
I'm sorry.
What's that, Paul?
I said, where's the downward vector towards the moon? There should be a downward vector there or towards the sun, right?
Well, no, that's
Wait.
orbital. That's a begging the question fallacy within itself, right? The moon's in an orbital trajectory. It's continually falling, like we're continually falling around the sun, according to the heliocentric model. Orbits is basically just their way of dictating their begging the question fallacy to us. Well, obviously things are in orbits. What do you mean? You assume that
what's an
things fall
orbit?
around rocks. Go on, Chocolate.
What's an orbit?
A
It's
begging
a
the
travel
question
site
fallacy.
on the internet.
Shouldn't they be able to
Okay.
demonstrate that on Earth orbits?
Yeah. But they don't. It's like the sky vacuum. They just point at the sky and say, well, obviously that thing that is moving in the sky, I'm going to assume that's falling around us. Or, in the case of the sun, we're falling around it.
That's funny. All those supposed gravitational vectors flying around us, but yet somehow somebody thinks that they can measure this force with balls in a shed at a torture bar.
Oh, they no
Figure it
longer
out.
call it an experiment. They call it the cavity.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
hear
old
you,
and
Neil.
busted to me.
Old and busted. We're on to the new hotness.
The new hotness isn't
Bending and
even the new
warping his
hotness
space
now.
time.
It's a bit comparable to Men in Black in the respect that when he says that line, he pulls up in a Mercedes E-Class from about 2003. Now, let's be honest, that car now is, for whoever owns it, an absolute nightmare. A horrible car. Right? Now, it might have been the new hotness when they shot the movie, and likewise, Einstein might have been the new hotness when he superseded Newton. However, that new hotness is now a decaying heap of rust and trouble. Just like Einstein.
Exactly. That's why I love using it. The
No,
old
no
and
offense
busted
to
and the new hotness.
no offense to old Mercedes, Neil.
Well, just think about it though. They've come full circle. Remember, gravitas, gravity means the weight or the heaviness of something. They've circled all the way back around to what the original meaning of gravity is. So it's not the new hotness; it's the old and busted, ancient busted. That's what it is now.
Yep.
I can testify to that old Mercedes.
Yeah, a pile of trouble. Looked shiny though when it was new, I bet.
Actually,
Just like
still looks
Einstein.
good, but it's not good on my wallet.
Mercs, Beamers, Audis, just bottomless pits of plastic garbage. Very nice for the first couple of years if you lease them. That concludes the housekeeping, hence we're talking about cars.
Well, still, even though it got moved to number 2, gas pressure without a containment is it's such a good one in the sense that when you ask that to a normie, they get it right away. I mean, that one they get so quick. The R and the Black Swan is number 1 by far because we understand that it just kills it. I mean, it's just impossible. But the gas one, people get quicker.
Right on. I liked the unintended puns from Paul. We're talking about Mercedes and he talks about going full circle, like a Mercedes logo. Mm-hmm. And we're also talking about orbits and gravity. And he's like, it comes full circle. What, like an orbit, Paul? Unintended pun that he's dropped in there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I guess 10th man is subconsciously rubbing off on me.
We're all being poisoned by puns.
Actually, Nathan's got that subtle pun going. I didn't even catch it.
I'm just attuned to the orbital arguments. That's all it is. If I hear the word orbit, it's like a little red flag that goes off in your head. Whoa, 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 whoa! Orbits! Begging the question, fallacy. Jump all over that immediately.
Plus, if I answer every pun, I wouldn't leave space in between for others.
Was that a pun?
That was a pun.
Boom,
That's
boom.
a pun.
Any ballers in Discord want to discuss any of the housekeeping questions?
I don't know if there is any. We might have to kick out some flat earthers. Is Righteous around? Has he disappeared?
The room was full.
I'm on my own. We've got what we've got, I'm afraid. We've got a full house. Who have we got in Discord? Hello, everyone in Discord.
Hello.
Do you want to ask your question, Ted? We'll see if someone plays along regardless of what side they're on.
Yeah, no matter what side you're on, let's dialogue and have a good debate show and take on subjects. So someone in Discord, ask a question, please.
Oh, you're encouraging them to ask questions.
Absolutely. I mean, get involved. I mean, how do you come on a show that's live and just sit there? I don't understand.
Hey, Tony.
Well, I was going to say, I just wanted to clear something up from earlier. It was actually Philo Laos that came up with the bullshit axial rotation story.
It was who?
Or a credit. Philo Laos?
Phil Olaus.
Of the Philo Laos. So it was a School of Pythagoras alumni, apparently.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Hello, Sleeping Warrior.
You're welcome.
Yo, yo.
How are you?
I'm very good. I spotted a gap on the panel. Someone was missing, so I thought I'd join.
What's up, Riley? Why do you sound like you're yelling from the bathroom or something?
I'm just stoking the fire. No pun. Genuinely stoking the fire.
Fire? It's the middle of summer. What are you talking about?
I'm just burning some paper. So I was stoking the fire, but in this age of punningness, people might think that it was an analogy to something, and it's genuinely stoking the fire.
Tony,
Yes.
when you're burning evidence, you shouldn't talk about it. Sorry.
Hey Nathan, you know when you said you hear orbits and alarms go off in your head? That happens with me when someone says gravity. The minute they say gravity, I go, woo, 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 gravity, woo, woo, woo. What is it?
Yeah, little flags. They're little cues. Because clearly your opponent, as soon as they say the word orbit or gravity, they don't know they're begging the question. But of course we do. So we're going to point that out, right? Because that alarm needs silencing.
Don't mind me, I'm still burning paper.
Okay. You keep clearing out those filing cabinets.
Yep.
Excellent.
I'm just burning all my subs I bought recently, apparently.
You bought some subs, did you?
Apparently so. Somebody's bought me 200 subs and I'm getting blamed for it.
Bought you 200 subs. If you gain 200 subs, that's exceptionally good. Like, I think
No. Somebody's bought me 200 subs, right? And then blamed me for buying them just so that they can blame me for buying them. You know the old projection argument? Let's buy Riley some subs, right? Then we'll blame him for buying subs to make him look like lacking in credibility. And I'm like, thanks for the subs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want those kind of subs. That's why in my intro I say subscribe if you've not done so already. I don't want people subscribing with sock accounts. I want my sub count to be accurate. You know, I'm all about the data that comes off those subs and how many views related to the amount of people and so on. And so if you've got distorted sub numbers because someone's bought you subs, that's bad.
I know, but somebody's bought me subs and I'm being blamed for it. So rather than moan that they've bought me subs and I'm being blamed, I may as well just thank them for the interaction.
Fair enough. Yeah, 200
Hey,
subs
Nathan,
is a lot.
you've got two
just
memes about you in Master B. Take a look at them.
I'll have a look. Just so the title changed. Someone changed the name of Master B. Dr. Master B6. What's that all about?
I don't know. The Hams changed it. I don't know why.
Fair enough. Dr. Master's a terrible name for that chat group.
Change it back. I don't know why he's changed it. It might have been done accidentally.
Maybe.
Hey, Nathan.
Nah.
Hey, Nathan. Look at
Go
the Skype message I sent to you from Supreme Council.
Supreme Council.
Or Council of Supremacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll get back to you about that. Excellent. Yes, very interesting.
Yes.
Did not know that.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Keep your eyes peeled for 10 o'clock tonight, boys and girls. It's going to be hopefully going to be a really good show.
What? What's happening?
Hey, Nathan.
We'll announce it later
Did you
if I
say
can do it.
something?
Go on, whoever that was that Babs?
Yeah, it's me. Did you say something about a crappy Mercedes?
Yeah. If you buy a Merc, not an old Merc, sort of pre-1990, forget that, but after 1990, Mercedes or Daimler went to the extent of taking their practices of making stuff very over-engineered, you know, using really thick metal and making everything really solid. They stopped that and just went to the Audi/BMW way of doing things, which is to use plastic on everything. So the car will last 2-3 years without any issues. Then the plastic starts to crumble, and they charge the same as they would for a metal piece of replacement part. And the net result is your Merc, after it's out of lease or warranty or whatever, is too expensive to maintain. So you end up with a shed load of these high-end or semi-high-end cars that are just worthless. You can buy them so cheap because you couldn't afford to maintain them. So, yeah, garbage. Modern Mercedes, modern Beamers, modern Audis. These luxury cars are just garbage now.
Right. Because the older Mercedes, like the W123s and the W124s, the ones that came out like in the 80s, those were amazing. Those were like the best cars ever made.
Oh,
like,
I agree.
There's still some being used as taxi cabs in Morocco and different parts of Africa that have like over 1 million miles on them, and they're still going.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Back in the Mercedes' reputation is built on those cars, because back in the day they were heavily over-engineered, and I had several friends that had those types of Mercedes, old Mercedes. Now, they weren't the fastest things in the world, they weren't the most economical things in the world, but they didn't break. They went on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, they were like timeless, especially like the ones that had that rubber and like leather interior. Like, those were amazing.
Yeah, they got the vents that have got like a star shape in the middle of them. Very nice. Old-fashioned, but bulletproof. Now, modern cars are disposable. They're like iPhones. They're the worst type of product to buy. So, I like to buy in one of two product categories. The cheapest, nastiest, you can throw it away when you've broken it or done with it category. That's category 1. Or the other end of the scale, the very best you can possibly get. Because then if it breaks, you'll repair it. You'll want to keep it, you'll want to service it. It's more economical to buy that stuff. Now, an iPhone or an iPad sits in that horrible middle category. Not horrendously expensive, but still expensive. But ultimately disposable. Now, cars have now fallen into that bloody category. You know, your 30, 40, 50,000 pound car is designed to be disposable. And now, back in the day, with those Mercedes you were just detailing, I don't know the model numbers, but there we go, you do. Those weren't disposable. Far from it. They were considered an investment. Now, a car's not an investment. It's a leasable thing that you chuck away at the end, like an iPhone, which is horrendous considering how much money they cost. But there we go. I hate that category. Middle of the road. Not designed to last forever, but still costs a lot of money.
Agreed.
Right.
Sounds like you described the trolls in chat, not to last forever, but bother everybody.
No, they're definitely in the disposable category.
Oh, no, they are disposable.
Yeah.
We just compare agricultural equipment, so you'll understand this, 10th man. If you look at any farmer, the equipment that they buy, and they will call it equipment, they won't call it a car or a tractor, it's equipment, it's just a piece of equipment, it's designed to do a job. Now, most of the farmers that I used to know had old equipment, really old in most cases. Did it function any different to a modern one? Yeah, probably wasn't quite as efficient. Probably didn't look as shiny. But it was still working 30 years after they'd bought it, and that's why they invested heavily in a very well over-engineered, designed to last piece of equipment. So that's what they bought, and it's still on their farm doing its job. Now, the same would apply to something like a Land Rover. Now, they've just put them out of production and changed them to what will be the same as every other piece of garbage car that comes out in modern times. Disposable. So your old Land Rover, like, you know, agricultural looking thing that farmers do still use and have still got 20, 30, 40-year-old ones on their farms working, those ones, that's gone. That will never happen again. So you buy a modern Land Rover and it will be plastic. That's how it will be. And it won't last and go on forever. But there we go.
Yeah, my neighbor's got a really old tractor, and all he does is just use it all the time. And the other day he says, "Yeah, I had to change a part." So, but they're solid.
So what you're saying is the new hotness is the new busted, or I can't say the old, but I don't know how to say it. But you know what I mean?
The new hotness becomes the old and busted within a very short period of time these days. Einstein's no different. You know, it's only taken 100 years. You know, it was Einstein superseded Newton 105 years ago. That's not a very long period of time for an entire paradigm to be tossed to the wayside by us. Woohoo!
This Chocolate, are you able to talk? Well, if he comes on, I'll ask him for that quote from Michio Kaku by the seat of the pants. The scientific method not being used anymore. And then I want to correlate that with your statement just there between you and Paul about Einstein and Newton. Most people don't even know the change. I certainly, didn't go to university or anything, so I couldn't have learned it there. But once you start, talking to people about how Newton is thrown under the bus and it's Einstein for 100 years and it's time, a conception, it's news to them, just like it's news to people that no one follows the scientific method anymore.
Yeah, it's utilised when there's a difficult part of the narrative that needs explaining. So they'll use Newton where they want to, not because it's applicable or because it hasn't been superseded, it's just because it's useful when needed. Old part of the rhetoric, yeah, let's use that.
Well, we also got to remember that most of this stuff is mathematical, which means, okay, we have this in effect, like Erwin was saying, which do see seems like solid things or liquid falls towards the ground. And you can describe that mathematically. Well, you can make the equation as long or big as big as you want, adding or taking away to get the result you're looking for. So if you're using math, this doesn't mean that it's really anything. And isn't length, width, depth, and height a mathematical concept? Isn't time supposedly a measurement of duration? There's no real substance to this thing, so it's just a mathematical construct.
Correct, it's all abstract. Maths is abstract. This is abstractions. It's a way of describing something like language. Maths is a language, so it's an abstraction. It's not a reality, it's an abstraction.
Aren't you using words to describe how you see the Earth?
Yeah.
I can describe pink unicorns that run through my backyard and how they poop all over the yard and have it grammatically correct. It makes perfect sense in reality. But is there truly pink unicorns running through my backyard?
No, but that's why the math goes together with experiments.
But maths can't explain things.
Wait a minute though. What's your experiment for gravity? Go.
Hold on, he's talking about maths. No, maths is a description of something. It's not going to explain anything. That's science. The hows and the whys are established through science. How does this occur? Well, let's figure it out. With the scientific method. Not with maths.
Well, he did say once you use math, it leads to experiment. And Paul had a good question for him. So please comment on Paul's question, if you would.
Go on, do you want to repeat your question, Paul?
So if it's an experiment that validates the math, what's your experiment for gravity?
You can drop something and measure how fast it drops, for example.
What's gravity?
And that proves what?
Well, to get back to the point, you can describe experiments with words, but you can also use math. So I don't see the point in your argument.
What's your hypothesis?
What experiment?
What's his hypothesis and what's his experiment that's going to validate that hypothesis?
We need a definition first. A definition, please.
So what's gravity, first and foremost? Right, who's the guy making the claim in Discord? What's your name, sorry?
It's Ed.
Ed, what's gravity?
Mass attracting mass.
Nope.
No. We've just spent the last 20 minutes talking about the 105-year out-of-date old hotness, old new hotness. You know, comparing it to Men in Black. Maybe you didn't get maybe you haven't seen the movie. Nevertheless, we were explaining that the whole mass attracting mass thing is 105 years out of date.
What's his
Really?
observed
Then what's the
phenomenon?
new
Or
explanation?
what's his observed phenomenon?
Einstein. We just went over that for the last 20 minutes. Einstein. It's the new hotness. Like an old busted Mercedes that's now giving you a load of trouble. That's your new hotness. 105-year-old new hotness.
Yeah, so what's the new explanation?
Why are you asking us this is your claim?
You're saying it's out of date.
Yeah,
By
it
what?
is.
It's
Yes, that's
outdated.
correct. It's 105 years out of date. Now, you're making this claim, and you're now reversing the burden of proof and asking me to justify your 105-year out-of-date nonsense when it's out of date. Yes, that's correct. It's out of date, not mass attracting mass. That's why Sleeping Warrior, he's better at this subject, far better than me, immediately got straight to the point and said, define what you're talking about, and you've said mass attracting mass. No. 105 years out of date. That's Newtonian. We're now an Einsteinian. Now you're asking me to explain that to you? No.
If it's out of date, that means it's updated. By what?
By Einstein. Are you deaf? Are you deaf? Are you deaf?
No.
Did you not hear me
It
say?
remains the same.
Did you not? You've asked me what it's been replaced by, and I've told you 4 times. Einsteinian new hotness 105 years ago. I've said that 4 times. Are you deaf?
So what changed? Nothing.
Are you insane? It changed from Newtonian to Einsteinian. Do I need to put this in words of one syllable?
He doesn't know Einsteinian definition for gravity. That's the problem.
Yes, something changed. They replaced one fantastical story for another. That's it.
Yeah,
I have no proof for either.
Yeah, mass doesn't attract mass anymore.
Let me get this, guy. It's been a while. So, do you know what Einstein defined gravity as? He told us what it is and what causes it.
Go ahead, Professor.
He's asking you. It's your claim.
A yes or a no will suffice. If you don't know, just say, I'll tell you.
Just tell me what you think it is.
We'll take that
No,
as a
I
no.
want you to answer the question. Do you know what Einstein defined gravity as, yes or no?
Are you going to tell me what you think it is, yes or no?
You're the one with the claim. I'm just checking that you understand what the physics is. So do you understand what Einstein defined gravity as, yes or no? Come on. If you say no, we'll move
Tell
on.
me what you think it is. Stop
You know
playing.
what it is?
No,
they don't like putting it out there. They don't know
Chocolate.
what the hell they're talking about.
Ed, you're the claimant. You're making this claim, and now you're asking us to check if we know? No. You need to tell us what you are claiming and explain it to us. Not ask us to define it and then you pick apart our definition, which is what you're trying to do here. Burden of proof reversal fallacy. No. You're making this claim. If you don't want to take the claim any further, we'll just stop talking about it. No worries. You don't know what you're on about. No worries. We're not going to define it for you. We want you to define your claim.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let me define it then instead of asking yes or no nonsense questions, instead of addressing the argument. This is going nowhere if you're just going to say yes or no.
Are you going to define it? Word salad.
Just tell me.
Are you going to define it,
is.
or are you just going to give us this word salad obfuscation? Define Einsteinian gravity. Go.
Right, hold on. Let me finish then. Mass attracts mass. Gravity is
No!
an effect.
No, you circle-jerking fundy moron. We've told you 5 times. Wrong. Have you got nothing more to add here? Do you not know what Einsteinian gravity is? Like you've been asked. But apparently that's a yes or no word salad question. No, mate, we just need to know if you know this or not. Clearly you don't, because you've gone back to mass attracting mass. Something we've smashed 5 times. You've asked us to explain and qualify 4 times why it's changed, and we've told you. Now we're just checking if you know what it's changed to, and you don't, do you?
You're not letting me finish, so...
Define Einsteinian gravity.
finish?
Go. If I hear anything other than a definition for Einsteinian gravity, you're going to get shouted at.
Right, so gravity is an effect. It causes mass to have weight. Weight is a force.
No, that's wrong. It's not Einsteinian's definition of gravity. You're wrong. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're parroting the nonsense wrong pseudoscience. You don't understand the current old new hotness that is a Mercedes-Benz that's all broken and busted up. That's your crap that you don't understand and haven't repeated or defined. Well done, Sleeping Warrior. Very effective.
Yeah, then let the professor explain.
Yeah, shut up. That meant sit down and stop talking because you don't know what you're on about. And I was commending Sleeping Warrior.
Try Googling it and then come back with the definition. If you can't, just say and we'll lead you through it.
You've got to have some humility, in other words. You've got to say, I don't know, which takes some humility, but you're going to get us to try and define it so you can pick apart our definition like a scumbag. But instead, you need humility here. That's why people don't like it here. Because when we get to the point where we've demonstrated how stupid you are, you have no humility and can't say, no, I don't know how to define Einsteinian gravity, my claim. So you get shouted at.
What the professor means, I don't know. There you go.
He doesn't know, Anthony.
So gravity is both defined and we know what causes it according to Einstein. It's the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. So in the context of your question regarding gravity, which I actually can't remember what the question was now, it was that long ago, how are we going to explain gravity with regards to, say, for example, Newton's apple that falls from the tree?
Right, so that's it.
Yeah, that's the definition.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one. It's Einstein's definition.
We don't actually agree with Einstein's definition for gravity, but that is the current physics. But if you've got something better than that you can cite for us, then be my guest. But unless you do, it would be really great if you could tell us how Newton's apple falls from the tree, but apply Einsteinian gravity with it being the current physics.
Yeah, so Newton described what we see, and Einstein described why it happens. There's the difference.
We've had the definition, we know what Einstein said. How do you explain Newton's apple falling from the tree, applying the current physics, please?
Oh, well, the mass of Earth attracts the apple.
That's not an attraction. It's a bending of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass, but it's not an attractive force. You're incorrect with your citation, sir.
We covered this 6 times.
Well,
mass not attracting mass. That's wrong. 105 years out of date. We've told you this 5 times.
I get it. I'm muted again. Right.
You're not muted. Sorry, is this appeal to format? No, well, we're telling you that we've told you now 6 times that your 105-year out-of-date assertion that mass attracting mass is wrong. They're not complementary, they're in completely different geometry. Einstein superseded your nonsense that you're quoting over again after we've told you 5 times that it's wrong and why. You stuck record, mate. It's not Newtonian gravity anymore.
Yeah,
you're just wrong.
They want to use both of them all the time.
So the mass of Earth gives off gravity. Gravity gives the apple weight. That's why it falls.
No, not a force. Go on, Anthony.
No, weight is the force. You're not listening.
Weight relies on... So what's the definition for weight in current physics?
Gravity.
Can we take that long pause as I don't know?
Exact definition.
Can we take that long pause as you don't know?
It's weight. Weight is defined as mass times the acceleration caused by gravity. But gravity is not a cause, it's an effect. So what's weight in that context, given that the acceleration caused by gravity is not actually a cause?
Gravity causes mass to have weight. So
No, it doesn't. Gravity is not a force, not a cause, it's an effect. It's a warping of space-time.
yeah, and the effect is that things have weight, and weight is the force.
No, wrong.
Well, weight is defined. Weight is mass times the acceleration due to gravity, but gravity is not an acceleration force; it's an acceleration effect. So, how does weight? How does anything have weight when it hasn't got a force to give it weight?
There's no force to give it weight. There's an effect, and the weight is the power, is the force. I mean.
Right. So you think you can have effects without forces?
What do you mean?
I guess
You can't have an effect without a force of some kind. It's got to be something pushing or pulling something by Newton's second law of motion. But if something's falling from a tree when it was previously not falling from a tree, according to your physics, your current physics, you need a force. But we know gravity is not the force. We know gravity is the effect of the curvature of space-time, in this case, the apple accelerating. But what's making it accelerate? Is it a push force? Is it a pull force? What name is it called? Because you don't have a force to make that apple move, but we do see it move. But that movement that we see is called gravity by definition. So what makes it move?
The weight.
Right, we've just explained that weight is mass times the acceleration due to gravity. But acceleration due to gravity makes it an effect. But we know gravity is an effect, right? But we need a force to do it, according to Newton's second law. What force is it? Because weight's the effect, according to your current physics.
Yes,
What's
and
making
you
it
said
move?
weight is... What is weight? You mentioned acceleration. So
No, weight's defined
why
as
are you
mass
so confused?
times the acceleration due to gravity. But we know gravity isn't it's not a force to give the effect. It's the effect, the consequence, right? The thing that happens. But for something to happen, according to Newton's second law, you need a force. What force makes the apple accelerate? And that acceleration be gravity.
One
But
more
what
time
force
in
does
this circle, then I'll make the conclusion, unless you want to, Anthony. Go ahead, Ed.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's circular. There is no answer to it according to Einsteinian gravity.
You want one last response, Ed?
Ooh, you want to know where the gravity itself comes from? Why
No,
mass?
let me just break it down
it's
once more, Ed.
gravity, is that what-
Hopefully, if I break it down slightly differently. Gravity in the current pseudoscience is described as an effect. Well, effects aren't causes. And the definition of weight, which is what you've used in rebuttal, is a force of gravity. When gravity's not a force, it's an effect in the current pseudoscience. So you can't have it both ways. AQE.
I didn't say gravity is a force. I said weight is a force.
Yeah, and according to the definition at the third time in the circle, I'm not going to get into the same loop as Anthony's just got into, right? You can't be both an effect and a cause. And the way you're defining it is weight as a cause of a force of gravity, and the current pseudoscience is that gravity is not a force, very specifically not a force, as defined by your pseudoscientist priests. Not a force. So it's not going to cause weight in the current pseudoscience, despite the fact that you're defining weight that way, or weight being defined that way in general. Means nothing if the current pseudoscience for what they attribute that force to as gravity, because gravity's not a force. Simple as that. A couple of quick super chats. So, first and foremost, someone's giving me money to point out that you definitely bought your subs, Anthony. Shout out to Flat Earth Court. Riley bought his own subs. End of. So that's the end of it, Anthony. I've been super chatted,
Also,
so
when
that's the end
someone
of it.
makes the assertion, evidence will be required, right? Shows the evidence that I paid for subs. I mean, I've got like 4,000 plus. Why do I need to buy an extra 100 or 200?
Just did. Cited him. Flat Earth Court. That's my evidence right there. What do you want? One more. Is that not good enough standard?
No, that's hearsay.
That's not hearsay. That's fact. Super chatted.
Oh, okay.
Paid money for that. Right. Shout out to Flat Earth. It's not Flat Earth Court. It's done that one already. Emma UK. Trolls and socks galore, says Emma UK. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. I'm sure I've missed one. Here we go. It's another one from Flat Earth Court. Sleeping Warrior bought his subscribers and likes. He is lying to you all.
Yeah. Smash
I
the
don't think
super
so.
chat again. Say my name.
I know Sleeping Warrior well enough to know that I'm going to say this without any hesitation. There is absolutely no way on God's green earth Anthony would ever spend money on subs.
Let me ask you what's more likely. Is it more likely that I bought myself 200 subs, right? Or is it more likely that somebody bought them, paid for them, got them applied, to then accuse me of doing it? Because at the minute, there's a proper witch hunt on the table. We can apply the Boltzmann formula for that and prove that it's true.
Hold on, did you say there's a witch hunt against you?
Getting soccer counted to death, Nathan. Is
that right?
One or two people in many accounts.
What have you done? What have you? I haven't spoken to you for ages. Well, that's a total lie.
It's a long story, Nathan, and we've only got 4 minutes. We need about 4 hours. 4 hours.
That's why I asked you now.
Hey, Anthony, Anthony, I smell an opportunity here. If I unsubscribe, will you pay me to join?
Will I pay you the what?
I said, if I smell an opportunity here for some cash. If I unsubscribe to your channel, will you pay me to join?
Pay you to join? No, but I reckon there's a couple of people in chat that might do. And then claim that you're fake.
Silly. The whole buying sub thing is silly. If you're going to be serious about YouTube, you need to keep an eye on your stats and you need to know what's going on. And if you've got fake subs or you've bought subs because you want to, I don't know, is it vanity? The idea that you've got a nice big number next to your channel? No thanks. Yeah, I want a nice big number, but that's because I want people to actually be subscribed to me. Not because I just want a number there. I just don't see the point.
Yeah, it's psychotic.
It's stupid.
Be lying to yourself.
Yeah, it's kidding yourself. It's stupid. It's delusional.
Yeah, it's gaslighting as well.
Shout
out to the subs that have bought me subs. And
God, get off the subs, please. Back to the experiment that can be described by mathematics. I heard that a few minutes ago. Really? What if we have a qualitative experiment rather than one of quantitative? Riddle me that.
Any more?
Hello? And what does it matter anyway? Let's see the experiment that's described by mathematics. I want to see that one.
Anybody?
You got it?
Anybody going to give him that before we round out the live show and ask the people watching on the Premiere to stay tuned? Anybody for anybody?
Well, I can try, but he's just going to scream I'm wrong.
No, not if you're not going to scream you wrong. We heard plenty from you, Ed, until you went round in a circle about 6 times with me and Anthony asserting out-of-date rhetoric. You got shouted at for that, and for not knowing stuff that you were claiming and reversing the burden of proof. Your string of logical fallacies got you shouted at, not because you didn't, or we didn't accept your nonsense. Delusional also. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Do you think just saying words? Do you think just saying words is like, without knowing what they mean, is like you're impressing somebody? Like we're not gonna know. What kind of psychosis is that? You need to admit yourself, right? Mental health. 1-800 help my mind. My word, people.
He did give a phenomenon, Paul, but he doesn't know he did.
Go on.
What's that number again?
What phenomena did he give?
He said you can drop something.
I know the cause of that.
What? Helium balloon?
No. The mic he described. I know the cause of why that dropped. Someone picked it up first.
Yeah, but he said drop something. I drop a helium balloon.
That's not going down. That's going up. That doesn't help his example. So you're not being very helpful to him, QE.
Why does it go up, though?
I asked my wife yesterday, her birthday, she still has a balloon from her birthday, and I said, where the hell's gravity at? Sure is taking its time. It's been 3 weeks. Where's gravity at?
Yeah, we like helium balloons here. We've often got helium balloons because we've got a canister of helium. So we can just make them, and we do. But yeah, they hang around for ages. Not going down. And often they're the only thing actually moving in the room. Mainly because there's a bit of air movement, admittedly. But, you know, they're dancing around, and what do? They're trying to escape out the ceiling. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not touching it. Now, everything else in the room of a more solid nature isn't moving at all. Literally none of it. None of it's moving. There's dust, though. Oh, what? Look at that. There's a little dust bunny going up. What do you know?
Yeah, I was wondering, we're back to the gravity as an acceleration. My coffee cup's sitting here at rest on my counter. It doesn't look like it's accelerating to me. So are we back to accelerating coffee cups again?
Chocolate's had experience with accelerating coffee cups.
Yeah, RC Meisty says it's running away on you.
That's because the net force on it is zero. It's got a downward force due to gravity and an upward force provided by the table.
Gravity's not a force.
Gravity, right?
Not a force.
It is a force.
Rompus,
in our
would
3D
you-
space,
It is a
Rompus,
force.
would you get
Right. Good. Thanks for that.
Hence, if you go and measure the force, you can do
not
this
a
on some
force.
bathroom
Hence,
scales.
Sorry,
with
we're not
multiple
measuring
measuring
sex.
devices.
It's not a
It
force.
How many
shows
times
you the
we got to
force.
show you,
So therefore, we
demonstrate,
know
tell
it's
you,
a force.
cite that gravity
You
is not
can
a
measure
force?
It's
the
just going to
force.
talk
Come on,
through
how
us.
many
If you go
times
and
we
Sorry,
got to do
Rumpus,
that?
just because you've
You
made
can
an
actually
assertion that we don't
measure the
accept
force.
doesn't mean you get to
You
keep
can
talking
measure
indefinitely.
the force.
Sorry, are you going to listen
You
to
can
us?
measure
We've got
the
a
force.
challenge to
No, he's
your
not letting
assertion. Are
anybody
you not
talk.
going to listen? You're just going to lay down your assertion and just carry on
Were you
talking?
asking overtalked? I started a sentence and I was overtalked.
Yeah, because it's not a force, and you carried on talking with the assertion that it was a force
Yeah, well, I didn't
indefinitely
want to
because
finish
we've
my
challenged
sentence.
it, and now you're doing it
Use
again.
the force,
We're telling
Luke.
you, not asking. We're telling
Yeah,
you
I'm
it's not a
telling you it's a
force, but
force.
you've decided it is a force, and you're going to continue talking in the vein that it's a force indefinitely. It's not. That's why we've
Bathroom
interrupted
scale.
you.
What do you think
Not
bathroom
so you can
scales
carry
measure?
on indefinitely, telling us about how it acts as a
What do you
force, but it's
think
not.
bathroom scales measure?
Why are you asking me a question? It's not a force. It's not a force.
Because you see,
It's not a force.
because you don't,
Wait,
because you
they
won't
measure
accept. I'm trying to make
Are
you
you
think a
deaf?
little bit.
Are you deaf? Are you like the other guy? It's not a
Bathroom
force,
scales
Rumpus.
measure
You're
force.
105 years out of date, you dumb idiot.
Bathroom scales.
Why are you
measure
asking me a
force.
question about scales? You haven't conceded.
No, I'm
you
making a
pathetic
statement.
weasel.
Bathroom
I'll get you
scales
indefinitely, you
measure
pathetic
force.
weasel. Are you scared of
What has
Einstein?
that got to do
Are
with
you
gravity,
scared of
Rumpus?
Einstein?
Right.
Hold
Okay,
on,
well,
Brian.
let's go through a
Are
full
you
sentence.
scared of
First of all, we
Einstein?
know
Einstein told you it's not a force.
bathroom-
Are you scared of Einstein,
bathroom
Rumpus?
Scales.
Don't talk about scales.
I'll deal with
You haven't
Einstein in a
conceded
second.
yet.
First of all,
Are you
we
scared?
can
He's
measure
scared of
force.
Einstein. He's
Bathroom
scared.
scales
He's
measure
scared to talk
force.
about Einstein. He wants to talk about
So then-
105
so
year
then
out of
you
date
understand
non-forces.
How that force came about.
It's not a force. You're scared of Einstein,
So-
mate. You're 105
we
years out of date,
understand
you
that bathroom
moron.
Scales measure
You keep
force.
talking about scales. That's Newtonian
Yeah, they
downward
measure
vectors.
force.
It's not a
They
force.
demonstrate there's a force.
It's not a
They
force.
demonstrate the force.
You
They
just keep
demonstrate
saying
there's a
it. You're
force.
scared of Einstein, mate. You're scared.
They measure.
You're scared of the new
force.
hotness.
They measure force.
It's not a
Therefore, there must
force.
be a force there.
You're just scared.
Scales measure force.
That's
Therefore,
fascinating.
there is a force
Gravity's not a force.
there. Scales measure force.
Don't tell me
therefore
what
there is a
scales
force
do.
there.
I'm not interested in scales. Einstein's
They
not
measure
talking
force.
about scales. He's talking about gravity, and it's not a force.
The force of gravity is
It's not a force. Are you dumb?
Yes, that's what scales measure.
No, it's not a force. I'll quote Brian Cox. Gravity is not really a force at all. I'll also quote George Musa. Gravity is not a force, but
You also said you have
I
to
haven't
treat it as a
finished. I haven't finished. You scared of Musa and his quote about proving you wrong? You scared of Musa?
He proved me right.
He's proving you wrong. You just won't let me. You talk through his quote. You scared of him, aren't you? That's why he talked
No,
through
he
it.
also said
I'm
gravity is a
quoting
force
him, and
in
you're
the same-
talking through, deciding that you're going to give a different quote because you're scared of me quoting him, telling you where you're wrong. You're scared of
He also
Musa,
says
aren't
it's a
you?
force.
Are you doing it now? Scared.
says it's a force.
You're scared of Musa because he proves you wrong.
Do
You
you
need
deny
gravity
him
to be a
saying it's a
force.
force?
I'm not going to be talked through, Rumpus. You're only
Do
going to
you
get a few more
deny him saying it's
chances
a
to
force?
talk through me asserting where you're wrong with quotes from Professor Brian Cox. Gravity's
Do you
not
deny
really...
Musa said it was a
Bye-bye,
force?
Rumpus. You're not going to tolerate your religion being demolished by your own priests. I'm quoting one of your priests. That's not you. You're not in authority about this. Brian Cox is, in this instance. He's more authoritarian in this force that's not a force of gravity. Gravity, quote, Brian Cox, professor in astronomy. Professor Brian Cox says, quote, gravity's not really a force at all, end quote. Now, George Musa, I still haven't quite... Oh, it's Musa. It's going to be scared of him, aren't you? Scared of Musa. You're scared of Musa, aren't you? Second time you've interrupted my Musa quote. Bye-bye. End of Rumpus's time here. He's scared of George Musa's quote. Because I'll quote him. Gravity is not a force. But you can think of it as a force. End quote. Now, thinking about it being a roast chicken, you can do that as well. But it's definitely, quote, not a force. Rumpus is a shit. Now, he's lost, and he needs to babble on through me about how it's a force when we quote Professor Brian Cox and whatever the hell George Musa is. Astrophysicist George Musa. So, he doesn't like that, and he's got to talk through it because he's scared of it. Because he needs it to be a force, and it isn't. Bye-bye. Come back tomorrow when you can tolerate having your religion smashed.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Even when the guy
chanting
himself
again.
says we can just consider it to be force, if we don't want to be on the really is level.
Yeah.
Is that
Gravity.
Is that why they're upset?
Gravity is a
just take the
force
last-
like any other force.
No, it's not.
We could just
well,
gravity's
listen
not a
to Brian
force.
Cox.
No, let's go with new
I
scientists.
didn't finish.
Let's use the last three. Stop over talking me. So, although Earth appears to be pulled towards the sun by gravity, there is no such force. That's from New Scientist. Phys Libra text. The answer is that gravitation is not a force between two objects, and physics hyper textbook. Gravity isn't a force. Now, if you can't
Gravity
get
is a
that
force.
through your thick head, right?
Sorry.
That's not our problem.
Hold
Go
on,
back to
QE.
romper room. Thanks.
When you got to the conclusion, you read out 3 citations. Yeah? And whilst doing it, what you had was a fundamentalist religious zealot talk over you and shout that gravity is a force over the top of your 3 citations. That's what you had happen.
Yeah, because he's a fanatical religious zealot.
Yes, that's correct. Just like Rumpus. When we're pointing out that it's very clearly cited as not being a force by the current raft of pseudo-scientist, heliocentric practitioners, he will talk through us about it being a force and ask me what scales do. Talking about what he needs to be a force. Not listening, not paying any attention to the current rhetoric, not paying attention to his priests who talk about his religion. He's not interested in that. He's interested in shouting through us about it being a force.
I just don't want to go to Monticello today until I get that freaking hose.
Can you pop yourself on mute, Neil? Neil.
You can go shop, right?
Neil. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, it wasn't me talking over you.
That's okay.
Okay, gravity is a force like
No, it's
any
not.
other force.
So Fundy Zealot. No, it's not.
Gravity is a force. Why is it not a force?
He didn't listen to the citations. I've just explained this. When QE was reading out the citations, he was talking the whole time, saying it's a force, it's a force, it's a force, so the citations weren't heard. That's what he did.
Yes.
Do you want to look at them?
And we don't call
Yes,
them
please.
force.
We've got citations, mate,
Can
that
I
disagree with you.
finish a
Mate,
sentence? I
we've
can
read them out.
finish a
Mate,
sentence.
we don't need
How
you
will
to
you
talk.
learn?
Mate, we've read out citations that disagree with you. Now, you're not citing a damn thing, you're just spewing rhetoric at us and talking through us while we cite it from your priests. Okay?
Yeah, that's the thing that
And
I'm
we
very
don't call
confused
them
about, guys.
forces. Can I finish a
guys that gave
sentence?
you
You get
this
angry,
gravity
bitch. Yeah,
tell you
go
it's not
on, get
force.
angry. Yeah, we're destroying your heliocentric belief in gravity.
No, you're
so get
talking
angry about
over
it, you
me.
little bitch.
You're talking
yeah, you talk over me while we cite the demolition of your assertion that gravity is a force. It's not. But you get angry for me, you little bitch. Do it. Shout at us. Tell us that we're wrong to interrupt you while you spew your rhetoric about it being a force and object that we correct you in your incorrect assertion. You moan about that for me, bitch. Go on. Go on. Moan.
And
bitch.
we call them interactions, not forces. All of them.
Oh my god.
Sorry, now can you listen to the citations that you talked through earlier and then immediately spewed that it's a force? Can you listen? Is that possible, Fundy? Go ahead, QE. Let's see how well he does.
Can you listen?
No, so he can't. He's asked me if I can listen. I've read this. I've heard this probably in excess of 50 times. I know what it's going to be saying. You spoke through it and then asserted the complete contrapositive immediately after it was finished being read. Now I'm asking you to actually listen. Not ask me if I can listen. That means shut up.
Are you done shouting?
George,
Come on, man.
No, second attempt, QE. Just pause, then asks me if I'm done shouting. No, mate, I'm going to have to continue telling you off because you're so stupid after 3 occasions of being told that you haven't listened, and then you've asserted the complete contrapositive of the cited sources you spoke through. You're asking me if I'm done. No, I'm waiting on a pause that demonstrates you can actually shut your mouth and listen to the citations QE's about to read out for the second time because you didn't listen the first and then spewed religious rhetoric at us. That doesn't mean reply. It means shut up. It's the 4th attempt. Let's see how we get on, QE.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Go ahead, QE.
So we got George Mooser. I won't read the whole thing. Gravity, not an invisible force. You got Caltech. Einstein came up with the theory of general relativity in 1915, the prototype of all modern gravitational theories. Its crucial ingredient involving a colossal intellectual jump is the concept of gravitation, not as a force. Brian Cox, there isn't really a force of gravity at all. George Mooser again, gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. From their alma mater wiki, gravity is most accurately described by the general theory of relativity proposed by Albert Einstein, which describes gravity not as a force. Universe today, general relativity, gravity is not a force between masses. From University of California, strictly speaking, gravity is not a force. Phys.org, according to this theory, gravity is not a force. New Scientists, so although Earth appears to be pulled towards the sun by gravity, there is no such force. From Phys Libre Text, the answer is that gravitation is not a force between two objects. The physics hypertext book, gravity isn't a force. From Joyland Bluefield, last one, Cornell University. So to summarize, general relativity says that matters bend space-time, and the effect of that bending of space-time is to create a generalized kind of force that acts on objects. However, it isn't a force as such that acts on the object, but rather it's just the object following its geodesic path through space-time. Thank you.
Thanks. Maybe you'd like to tell us
Can
it's a
I
force?
can I add one?
No, hold on, Chocolate. Ed, maybe you'd like to bitch at us and moan at us when we interrupt you and tell you that it's not a force.
No, I would actually like a list of those sources so I can prove you
just
wrong
read them
like I
out.
did last time.
Did you have a pen? Did you write them down?
No, remember
You
last
haven't
time
disproved
QE, I
anything.
used all
You
your
couldn't
sources.
disprove or debunk a soup sandwich. You're an utter moron.
Sorry, so what you're saying is you don't agree with any of these sources? Yeah, we know. No shit.
So the only way to
Saying it all.
debunk this is to pull the sources up and they say gravity is a force, right? That's the only way to debunk this. Are you a moron?
No, I'm talking about the time I
Are
used all your
you
sources
a
to use
moron?
to prove plasma is a gas. Remember?
Sorry,
I
he's
don't
moving on to
understand why you think
he's moving
this
on to gas
nonsense.
plasma. What's happened here is he's got very angry at us, told us that we're being very unreasonable, interrupting him, and it's because he said it's a force. after a little discussion with Rumpus when he did the exact same thing, but with scales, talked through us, and we said, no, it's not a force. He carried on talking about it being a force. Then we cited, or QE cited some of these, and you talked through it. Now we're at the point where it's been made absolutely crystal clear with citations from universities and pseudoscience professors of heliocentrism that it's not a force. Now, what? We're going to move on to gas plasma? Is another demonstration of your total and utter lack of humility? Like with gravity when you were talking to Sleeping Warrior earlier.
I'm not moving on, and
You want to? We know you want to move on because you've just been destroyed. That's why you want to move on. We want to see an ounce of humility in somebody that's wasted a lot of our time talking about nonsense that they don't understand, then had it laid out with citations from universities about how wrong they are, and you want to move on to gas plasma? No, we want you to say, oh, right, I was wrong. Fat chance. That'll take you a closer step to depression, won't it? I know why you don't want to concede.
Yep. We talked
I
about this
said
in chat
I
this
don't
morning,
want to
Ed.
move on. Are you deaf?
You're doing it right
Are you
now.
deaf?
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
very
you use that on
confused
me.
why the people
Yeah, that'll
that
work
gave
on
you
me,
this-
mate. Am I deaf? No, my hearing's exceptional. Yeah, I used to work with studios. I've got very good hearing. I pick up on the slightest timbre change in people's voices that lets me know when they're scared or on a path to depression, Ed. Yeah, I've got very good hearing, I assure you.
Then why are you asserting I want to move on if I
Ed,
don't want
Ed,
to move on?
Ed,
Because you wanted to talk
why
about
is it
gas
the
plasma?
people that gave you
Somebody's
this
going in a
gravity?
psychotic state, I think.
Ed, why the people that gave you this gravity story tell you it's not a force, but then you're telling us it is? What is your malfunction?
Well, your malfunction is that I said weight is the force, but you're not listening.
Yeah, it's our problem. We've got bad hearing.
Can I ask Ed something, Nathan, please?
And hold on a second. No. Chocolate asked him a question. Ask it again.
Good question, actually. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, the very people that purport this story to you and have given you this story tell you themselves it's not a force. So why do you come here and tell us that it is?
What are you playing?
Because last time that QE did this, I used all his sources to prove that plasma is a...
Is he? Are you drinking again?
And if gravity is not a force, there are no forces.
If gravity's not a force, there are no forces. And if the horizon's not geometric, then goddammit, there are no horizons!
What the fuck is going on?
No, if you think there are other forces, then I'll ask you to...
Shut up, Chikey. Hey, Chocolate, ask.
And show me a
who is
force that isn't
Shut up, Chikey.
an
I'm going to go in there
apparent
and put you on
force.
mute if you don't
that is
shut
not-
up. We got a question on the table. I'm going to go in there.
Is Newtonian, whatever he's called, is that Chikey saving his mate's ass?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
headed in
Ed
there.
and
The latest version of Beavis and Butthead. Listen, Beavis.
Ed.
I need to know why you feel that you can come in here and tell us that gravity is a force when you have been read numerous citations that say it is not by the very people that have told you this story.
Maybe it's too small.
Are you serious? You just asked me this, and I said weight is the force. Are you deaf? Are you?
Take it in the back.
Oh,
Wait,
so
you
now,
say weight.
okay, hold on. What is the formula for weight?
Anthony went through this with him, he just didn't listen. He's got a hearing problem.
What's the formula for weight?
You were giving it earlier by
Mass
Sleeping
times
Warrior.
Acceleration.
You were giving it by Sleeping Warrior earlier.
Okay.
No,
So
weight
helium
is-
gas
Hold on, Arvin.
is anti-weight, right? It goes up.
W
this is
doesn't
where-
equal. Hold on a second. He said force is mass times acceleration. That's not the formula for weight, son. What is the formula for weight? Go ahead and look it up. Go ahead and Google it.
Oh, here we go. Go on, Ed.
That's my mic. Yeah.
So, what is weight, Ed?
So, what's actually wrong about what I said?
It's not the formula for weight, Ed. You gave us the formula for force. What is the formula for weight?
Pretty sure it says mass times acceleration. I'm not sure what you want.
Isn't that force? F equal ma?
Like I said, weight is the force, so I'm not sure what you want.
Yeah, you say weight is a force. What is the formula for weight? Third time.
Yeah, and I've said it like 4 times. I'm not sure what you
Oh,
want.
yeah. What? I'll just fucking tell you then. Weight equals mg. Mg. Love you long time. That's not freaking ma.
You were told
is
that
it?
by Sleeping Warrior earlier. The problem is you don't listen, Ed.
Essentially, you're a wiki parroting pretender clown that wouldn't know his ass from a pipe wrench. In other words, correct?
Do you remember when Sleeping Warrior went round and round in circles with you, explaining that the formula for weight utilises a force of gravity, and yet you've had 10 citations describing it not as a force, but as the bending of a conceptual medium? You see, you had that disparity explained over and over again to you. It just didn't sink in, Ed.
I think
No, it's not sinking in with you that I'm saying weight is the force. You're not listening.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So,
God.
God, so we're going to go round in this circle of complete cognitive dissonance on your part again? No, mate.
Can I ask him a
If
couple
you-
of questions?
Listen, it's
Okay,
very
they're very
easy.
simple.
If you push on a
It's not.
scale with your hands, it's gonna read a weight. If you stand on it, it's gonna read a weight.
Yeah, so that would be utilising...
What more do you want?
So that would be utilising the force of gravity based on the formula you've just been given twice. Once by Sleeping Warrior and once by Quantum Eraser. On both occasions have ignored it and circle jerked back to what Rumpus needed to do, which is talk about scales and the force that involves a gravitational force. It's not a force. Do you not understand this? How thick are you?
Weight is the force. How
Yeah,
thick are
weight
you?
involves
really is
gravity.
level,
My
it's
God,
not a
he's
force.
so dumb. He's so dense. It's untrue.
No, you're actually dense
is weight
because
a
you keep
force?
saying gravity is not a force.
It's
I'm
not.
saying that.
It's not,
You're
you
dumb.
moron.
So
I
is
didn't
that
say
why you're
gravity is
saying
a
weight?
force.
Because
You're not
gravity is
listening.
not a
Talk to
force.
please.
The problem is, right, the current rhetoric utilises gravity as a force when so desired. Because the current rhetoric utilises gravity as a force when so desired, this man thinks that that means gravity is a force. Even though the current crop of pseudoscientists make it perfectly plain that it isn't. Now this, for a globe-believing zealot, causes something called cognitive dissonance. And that's what we're experiencing here live in real time with Ed. A dose of cognitive dissonance. Two opposing views that cannot be reconciled. It can't both be a force of weight and the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time not a force. It can't be both, Ed. We tried to explain it to you. Sleeping Warrior tried to explain it to you. You didn't listen. You went round in circles, keep telling us that, well, it's qualified as weight, being a force. Yeah, we know, Ed. We know all the definitions and how they don't match up and it makes no sense. We're trying to explain it to you. Well, you just tell us, well, it is a force. No, it isn't, Ed. That's 105 years out of date.
I posted the
Ed, is
citation
weight
in
a
the
force?
chat.
Ed, is weight a force?
Weight
Ed.
is a force. I posted the citation.
Right. And why on? Okay. Second question: what causes weight? Density or gravity?
Both. It's mass
No.
and
No.
Let him say it. Sorry, do you want to rattle off the formula for weight then? So you can insert your fundy presupposition of a force called gravity that's 104 years out of date? Go ahead, mate.
I posted a citation in the chat since you want citations.
Yeah, and you're going to define it as Newtonian downward vector weight. Force of gravity, correct, Ed?
Weight is a force.
Yeah,
Get
and
over
it's
it.
ascribed with gravity. My God, this is painful.
So, Ed,
Yeah, it sure
steel
is.
is
You're not
There we go, we
grasping
got
this
there.
at all, are you?
Oh, so it's defined as a force, right, Ed? That's your citation. Ed, would it surprise you if I told you that that citation you've given us utilises a force that's 105 years out of date and has been superseded and cited 10 times today as not a force? You dumb idiot!
Yes, because weight is the force. You
No, mate,
dumb
that's
idiot.
105 years out of date. How thick are you?
Very thick.
Weight is the force. How
No,
thick
mate.
are you?
105 years out of date.
I'm not talking about gravity. I'm talking about
Oh, we're
weight.
not arguing about... Yeah, we are. No, we're not arguing about
try to keep
gravity.
up.
Yeah, that's precisely what we're doing, you idiot. Can't you keep track of the conversation we've been having for the last hour and a half? We're definitely talking about gravity, you moron.
Weight
Just
has
not a force.
gravity in
density
it.
and gravity, both the cause of weight.
What?
Wait,
Excuse me.
basically
What?
a
You
He
got
asked
out
if
How
for-
is
gravity was
density
the
and
cause of
gravity
weight.
both the cause of weight?
Yeah, Nathan's talking over you. Sorry, I can't hear you.
One more time, Brian.
Okay, Nathan. How is density and gravity both the cause of weight? Explain that.
Because the amount of mass is used in the formula.
Causes weight.
The mo-
The amount of matter causes weight.
That's incorrect. It's
With
defined by
gravity,
Einstein and
yes.
told you by Sleeping Warrior earlier as the uneven distribution of mass, not the amount. That's the cause, according to Einstein in his Mathematics of Pseudo-Riemannian Force Space. Don't you know this? Of course he doesn't.
You said weight of gravity now.
Your problem, Ed, is that you're trying to insert weight as a force, but gravity in mainstream science is an effect, not a force. So if
Yeah,
you're trying to
because
marry
you have to
weight
use
with
the
gravity,
effect
you
and
have your work cut out.
mass.
You're wrong. Weight is defined by its an
No,
object's weight
that's
is defined by its inherent density within its volume. That's what causes weight. Where is gravity in any of this?
Nowhere.
Gravity is an
That's why he
effect.
doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah,
See that,
I knew
right?
you were-
See,
Gravity
notice how
is
they
an
want to
effect. I knew it.
stray
Just like
away
weight.
from gravity slightly, a little bit.
I
Little
knew
bit.
it. As soon as it got down to the physical level of what actually is what causes something's weight, he doesn't want to talk about it because he can't add in gravity.
Yeah, because apparently now he knows it's not a force. Otherwise, he would just continue to talk about it and assert that it is, and then provide us scientific evidence that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need
But
to
he
come in
won't.
and railroad us. That's why Rumpus
did.
came in. To railroad
Just
us
ignoring
into
it.
talking about it as a force and accepting that we can talk about it as a force. Because according to his priest, George Musa, he can think of it as a force. Well, he can do whatever he likes. I'm not going to think of gravity as anything unless you show it me in physical reality. Preferably with an experiment to prove the cause.
This is painful.
Ed, you ever heard the quote,
Well,
we
I can,
we
drop a
do,
brick
we
on you.
must consider Newtonian gravity as a force? It doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. George Muser. What does a quote like that mean to you?
The amount
means
of
weight
double
is a
speak and
force.
contradict.
Get out.
It means he can assert whatever he
Wait. Say
likes.
that again. Say that again.
Hold on,
Arwen,
everyone's rumpus
hold
again.
on.
Chocolate's asked him, when talking about not working at the really is level, how do you feel about that? They're talking about gravity, not working at the really is level. How do you feel about that, Ed?
I still see reality, and in reality, weight is a force.
No, it's not.
What's weight got to do with gravity?
Can I ask him a question about this force of gravity?
Mass times gravity.
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay.
No, it's mass.
Force. Wait a minute.
Mass over volume.
One second. I just want to get his attention. So he's actually. Hold on. I just want to get. Hold on. Just want to get him to actually be listening. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. Force, I've got the formula on screen. I think Anthony quoted it earlier. Is force equals ma, so mass times acceleration. Okay, if something's at rest, is it accelerating? And I'll define what acceleration is. So acceleration is, by definition, a vehicle's capacity to gain speed over a short distance. If something's at rest on a scale, is it accelerating? Is it gaining speed over a short distance? If it's at rest.
Did you hear the question?
So yeah, it's going down, but there's also a force pushing upwards on it because of the tension on the scale.
Dementia is what it is.
Sorry, so your answer
No,
is...
I said tension.
So your answer is yes, it's going down because it's putting tension on a spring.
But it's not accelerating. It's not accelerating. So how's that a force? It's not accelerating.
Balance of forces, Paul. Balance of forces.
Okay, but for a force to be in play, it has to be accelerating. So if neither objects are accelerating, there's no force.
That is a balance of force.
Sorry, what Zanik now needs to do, Paul, is insert the presupposition of gravity being balanced or counteracted by something else. Net force zero. Rumpus also came in to try this. So what, you're going to beg the question of gravity and describe it as net force zero?
Net force zero, here we go. Oh, man. Did my question get just
it did.
ran over?
It did.
Oh,
do you want to try once more? Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that Ed guy when George Mooser says, when George Mooser says, we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. It doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. But what does that mean to you when someone says something about that?
It means he's correct. It means he's correct because weight is the force.
What?
So you're saying that he's correct in saying gravity is not a force?
Just Chocolate. Hold on. Just Chocolate. Hello.
Ed is Dutch. I've talked with him. He literally just doesn't understand what the fuck you're saying. I'm serious. He just doesn't get it.
Arwen, you're a dumbass, please.
No, I'm Dutch, and I actually do know how to speak English and understand the intricacies of the language. You don't seem to do that because you're just
I value that. I value the input, Arwen, but by the same token, you understand what really is level means, right, Ed?
Yeah, that's why I agree, because weight is the force. There you go.
Yeah, see?
So not gravity then.
Totally.
Like he was talking about.
No, not gravity. Not gravity. Weight.
Ah, perfect. What a wonderful way to end my show. Not gravity then.
Yep. That's our point.
That's our point. Took a long time, but we got there in the end. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!